Hey everyone, new-england-patriots here, back with Andrew Callahan with MassLive here at Gillette Stadium, where it is not raining, and things are looking pretty good at Patriots practice. Andrew, you're there today, and we saw a good time from Sony Michel.
Yeah, rare practice number 4. The Patriots started this week on Tuesday, wrapping things up here today. They were in shells and shorts, meaning they had pads over the shoulders, and that was about it. Helmets, of course, too. But Sony Michel was there, and this is different from yesterday when we got to practice and during the initial stretching. He was riding a stationary bike, which is never a good sign. Also back was Chris Hogan, who missed yesterday with a new thigh injury that landed him on Wednesday's injury report. So we're not sure exactly what this means in terms of their availability Sunday, but there is a report out there that Hogan should be cleared and be able to go. Michel obviously is a bigger deal. Hogan has largely been missing so far this season, 11 receptions, 143 yards, and they've got Josh Gordon who's there to replace him. So, you know, good news, you'd caution that it means much more than we just simply saw them out there today, but if they weren't out there, that obviously would have been a bigger story.
Now, we talked to Bill Belichick this morning, and it was a lot of X's and O's talked, a lot of how the Patriots are going to deal with the Chiefs' offense, which runs a lot of RPOs. They have a ton of playmakers.
And this was not my doing, surprisingly, not mine.
And then Pat Mahomes, who's quickly becoming one of the bigger names in the NFL, one of the NFL's breakout stars this season. What do you think the Patriots' approach should be on defense on Sunday?
You know, there are a lot of different ways you can go about this, right? Because there's an element of what do you do to counter what the Chiefs like to do offensively, and what are your best defenses that you've shown thus far? And if there's any area in the middle, which obviously that's where you would want to strike. I think to start with the RPOs, you know, it's a storyline this week because the Chiefs ran them more often last year than any other team in the NFL. And obviously the Patriots were hurt in the Super Bowl against the Eagles via the RPOs. The Texans ran them, and so did the Jaguars, both with success. So the question that was posed to Belichick today was simply this. When the quarterback has the ball, is it making that determination, run or pass, the run-pass options with these RPOs? He's reading a particular defender. Does that defender have enough time to fake as if he's going to commit to one and then back out and cover the other? And his answer was more or less no. I mean, you can make that effort, but the quarterback is experienced. He's run through this. He's going to act on that first motion. So, you know, the other part about this is the Chiefs are just much faster. So, okay, you might fake them out in one instance, but after that ball is in the playmaker's hands, whether it's Tyreek Hill, it's Sammy Watkins on a throw, or Kareem Hunt getting a handoff out of the backfield, they're going to be able to beat those defenders out to the edge. So I think the Patriots will do only a couple of different things overall, whether it's against the RPOs or against other plays where they're trying to get Hill in space or Watkins on the outside, because this, more than any other week, and you can kind of hear this in the locker room, is a do-your-job kind of game. You can't go out and try to make up for someone else's play where they might have missed, because that's when Kansas City breaks on you. You've got a missed assignment, a busted coverage. That's what they'll hurt you. You can survive a couple of 8, 10-yard gains, even a 15, but Kansas City will put you in a grave sooner than anything else with big throws over the top or breaking long runs for touchdowns.
I had a quick question here from Lewis. Any more news on Rex Burkhead? No, not since He's been on injured reserve. He's done for the season unless they decide to activate him at the end of the season. They can do that for 2 guys.
Right, yeah, so that wouldn't be until early December, because it's 8 games after originally placed on IR, which happened after you know, they played at Detroit in week 3. So Duke Dawson and Rex Burkhead right now look like the players who could come back. Juwan Bentley is done for the year by all accounts, so no news for Rex until early December, and even then it's an if, not a when.
Yeah, and for right now it's really the Sony Michel and James White show, unless the Kenyon Barner really surpasses expectations. And heading into Sunday, do you think the running backs are going to have a big factor both for the Patriots and the Chiefs?
Yeah, I wrote about this morning. I think ultimately when you talk about how the Patriots defense is going to handle Kansas City, part of that is going to start with just keeping them off the field. It's the same method we've seen teams try the Patriots over the years. We just said keep Tom Brady over there. The Lions did it. The Jaguars did it until late in that game when they had a sizable lead. And, you know, that's probably the way the Patriots should honestly go, because over time I think this Chiefs offense is too talented and too well coached not to thrive against the Patriots defense as it's currently constituted, which is sound, but it's not particularly athletic and it's not particularly fast. So for the Patriots, that means handing the ball off to Sony Michel. When he's been in the game so far, he's gotten a handoff on 70% of his snaps. That's a big tell. Yep. Do the Patriots deviate from that this week? I think at some point they have to, because otherwise teams start to load the box. But at the same time, they can control the clock without handing to Michel, right? You've got Julian Edelman back. He owns the middle of the field. Rob Gronkowski's had pressure alleviated off of him with all the double teams he saw weeks 1 through 4. So I think Michel will be a big part of this, because like you said, if he's not able to go, you have 2 runners who can't go between the tackles. James White had 2 carries for 0 yards last week. So you want to have that balance, but he might not play a big of a role as we expect, because they know he's obviously not 100% if he was limited pretty much this entire week.
Chief safety Eric Berry is one of the guys that's kind of best equipped in the NFL to cover Gronk. He's not playing on Sunday, or he's not expected to. Do you think we're going to get a big Gronk game?
I do. We wrote about this morning, too, in terms of fantasy. We always post those fantasy advice columns on Friday mornings. Start Gronk. You probably should have been anyway, but we understand he's been a disappointment. The thing about the Chiefs' defense, too, not only is Eric Berry out, but so is Aaron Murray. Aaron Murray's a backup safety who had been eating up all the snaps that Berry had left behind. Berry has a heel injury, and in total, Kansas City's allowed the third most receptions to tight ends out of any defense in the NFL. So regardless of whether you're Gronk or you're an average tight end, you're likely to thrive against this defense. Compounding that problem for the Chiefs is the fact that linebacker Justin Houston, their best pass rusher, also likely to be out. So Brady's going to have time to find any of his targets, let alone one he likes as much as Gronk. I think Gronk has a big day going down the middle of the field.
So do you think this game's going to be a shootout?
You know, we talked about this all week, and we opened talking about Sony Michel and how they're going to control the clock. You know, there are so many passes that I honestly don't feel good about any one of them. You know, it's hard not to say start this guy in fantasy or start that way. But again, if the Patriots can control the clock and want to run that down, and obviously you're probably going to sit back with two safeties and keep the Chiefs in front of them, because we just talked about, again, they know the fastest way they lose is by letting Tyreek Hill go deep. Then that lends itself to more of a lower scoring game, or you end up somewhere in the middle of 27-20, where that was just by virtue of the fact each team had 8 possessions. So I think the only thing that would be surprising is if both teams are held under 20. But if I said, if it ends up 27-20, you know how that happened. It was because they were just limited possessions and had long drives, and otherwise, you know, 41-35 wouldn't shock either.
So game's not till Sunday night, so we've got a long weekend of football to watch. Until then, I picked the Patriots to win this week. Who did you pick?
Yeah, I went with the Patriots after initially going Kansas City. Matt Votor was kind enough to put me on the spot here. I think it was Wednesday when I flipped my pick. There's just too much going right for them. I don't know about your thoughts, but just, you know, they're perfectly healthy. The Chiefs are not. They're starting to find themselves. The Chiefs obviously have, but that defense is starting to fall apart. And I don't think you can do that against an offense like this that's fully loaded. And it's had an extra practice and 3 extra days to watch film. So it's a matter of how they use that time. But if any franchise is going to maximize that extra time, it's going to be the Patriots.
The Patriots having extra time to watch film is an interesting point for my next question. Do you, Pat Mahomes didn't have a great game last week against the Jaguars. Do you think this is sort of a factor of teams getting enough film on Pat Mahomes to kind of build the book on him?
You know, I think there were a number of factors that played into last Sunday. The Chiefs win 30-14. You go, okay, it's a significant victory. They controlled the game, which they did, but it was largely not because of Mahomes, right? He had 2 interceptions, 0 touchdowns. Still, though, leads the league with 14 touchdown passes. I think it's a little bit of that. The Jaguars, of course, being very good defensively, but also there was always going to be a regression from Mahomes. I mean, he had set the NFL record after 3 weeks for touchdown passes, beating guys like Peyton Manning. Of course, Tom Brady was in that conversation before. He now owns the record, so he was always going to come down. There's some of that with Mahomes, and I think it's also just the entire offense, right? I mean, Andy Reid has been incorporating these college concepts. We talked about RPOs last year and the year before. You know, new stuff that offenses just haven't seen for getting a new quarterback. So I wouldn't attribute it totally to, you know, you get Mahomes on film, because when you look at that film, what do you see? A guy who can do everything and is drawing comparisons rightfully to Aaron Rodgers. What do you do against Aaron Rodgers? Well, largely you pray. And so, you know, the Patriots will probably have to do some of that here on Sunday, but, you know, they'll feel there are areas in which they can attack them, and for Mahomes, it's really just going to be keeping him in the pocket. And if the film has shown anything, it's that's where you want to keep him. He's going to make great throws, but he's better inside there being pressured than on the run, where he's able to scramble and make plays on his own.
All right, that's it for us today. We'll be back Sunday night at Gillette. Patriots, Chiefs. Make sure to check in for more coverage. We'll have Tom Brady talking at the podium later today. Hopefully Josh Gordon. Coverage throughout all the weekend. Make sure to check back masslive.com/Patriots. And thanks for tuning in, folks.
Thanks, guys. Have a good weekend.